Does porn actually affect your marriage? Well, if you stick around, I'll let you in on the most uncomfortable truths and some examples from some personal stories of my clients and what they said about how porn affected their marriage and how quitting porn made it so much better. My name is Nathan, and I've had a 10-year P-word addiction myself. And finally, after many times of trial and error and paying thousands of dollars in personal coaching, I was able to not only free myself from this addiction, but at this point, I've helped hundreds of men just like you and just like me and just like every single guy struggling with this problem take back their lives. So let's dive right in. Whenever I get on calls with the married men that I help through this, it's like they always say the same thing. That watching adult content is secretly and slowly taking away their attraction for their own wife, for the person that they married and vowed to spend their life with. And they mention that over time, they actually start to almost resent their wife because maybe the wife doesn't do things that the husband sees on the video, or she doesn't look the same as the other girls in the video. And in return, it's affecting the amount of affection and the amount of intimate time that is spent with one another. And if you've ever been in a relationship, or if you're currently married, you've seen the effect it can have whenever you're withdrawn or whenever you're not as emotionally available. It takes a toll on the relationship, doesn't it? And on more than one occasion, someone has told me that not only does pornography affect the affection that they feel towards their wife, but it also affects the intimacy and the amount of times they try to be intimate with their wife. Which leads me to the next way that pornography can affect the marriage. And it's the thief of joy comparison. And this is a wild one because let me ask you this. Would you say that your life is boring just because you're not fighting off evil in Gotham City on a random Tuesday afternoon? No, you're not Batman. You can't compare yourself to superheroes that you see on the screen. And for a lot of men, whenever they watch porn, they start comparing themselves to the guys that they've seen on the screen. Even though those people that you see in adult content films are heavily medicated to perform the way that they do. So not only do the husbands feel a little bit worse about themselves, it actually causes the wife to feel like she's not good enough. If the husband is showing less affection and less drive to actually open up emotionally and intimately, how do you think that makes the wife feel? And this can be so destructive. And I won't say the name. This very amazing guy that I helped through this, he sadly told me that before he came to me, and when he had been dealing with this addiction for 20 years, these exact same effects led him to get divorced with his wife. They just didn't feel the spark anymore. And he said he could not even blame her. All this because all of his attention was no longer going to making his wife feel good. All of his attention was going and getting drained by pornography and all the temporary spikes that dopamine gives your brain. And last but not least, this is a bit more on the personal side, but it's actually common for men to have trouble getting an erection or getting long-lasting, healthy erections with a real partner, depending on how much pornography they've watched. And this is called porn-induced erectile dysfunction. And I've gone through this personally, and even though I haven't been married, this one effect had hurt my own relationships because I couldn't do what I thought a man could do and should do. And I would say this is the most painful part of the problem because depending on how much pornography you actually indulged, your brain can wire itself to no longer want human interaction, but it would just start craving pixels instead. So this is more of a personal question, but if you could be as intimate with your partner as you'd like, how do you feel like it would have an impact on your marriage? And I just want to put this one out there because a lot of guys that come to me, they feel like they're alone. And they feel like they're the only ones in relationships struggling with this. Or they may be confused about how pornography can affect their relationship. So if any of this sounds familiar in your marriage or in your relationships, just know that you're not alone. And if you're done playing and you want to actually break free, I have 2 links in the description. One is you can schedule a root session call with me, where we're going to personally dive into your situation and why you keep going back and build a plan for you to break free. That's for the more serious people. Or I have a relapse protocol. I'm going to show you a short training on how to use relapses and turn them into learning opportunities without feeling shame so that you can actually learn how to beat it next time. But then again, that's for the people that are actually ready to quit because I know it changed my life. And the journey and the transformations that I've seen happen with the guys that I help in the relationships once they quit, is astounding. This guy right here, this fine fellow, has been married for around 5 or 6 years, I believe. And when I was able to walk him through how to actually quit pornography, what he told me more or less brought some tears in my eyes. He just thanked me. And he said once he was actually able to break free, the connection that he had with his wife, it felt like when they had just gotten married. Like it's like the honeymoon phase all over again. And when he told me that he was actually getting irritable and felt like he had lower patience with his wife beforehand, and that alone, pornography leading him to feel more irritable, was already getting the relationship on the rocks and in a pretty tough place. But because his brain had rewired and he actually stopped looking at his wife like an object or just something to feel good to, and more of as a person and as a great source of connection, they were able to feel the intimacy come back. And one more personal note, whenever I was in relationships and I would obviously watch pornography back then, I would almost feel like I was keeping secrets from them. I was micro cheating in a way. And honestly, I felt bad whenever I was face to face with them. But obviously I never brought it up to the surface. It just felt like this kind of dark weight on my shoulders that nobody really knew about and I didn't talk about it. But anyways, if you're feeling any things like this and you do watch pornography and maybe you watch a little bit more than you'd like and you feel like it's starting to affect your relationship or your marriage, have you considered what it looks like if you don't fix it now? And this continues for another 5 years, for another 7 years, for another 10 years. How would your relationship look like then? I wouldn't want to risk it if I were you. So if you're ready to quit, click one of the links down below and let's talk about your freedom. Best of luck. See you next time, soldiers.